The following podcast contains strong language.
Hello, and welcome
Hello.
to Cine Rambles.
We're back
We are back.
after the normal 2 weeks.
Yes, definitely in all 2 weeks.
Yeah. Nothing conspicuous about this broadcast.
Not a couple of extra days here at all.
No.
Also,
Anyway,
you'll definitely notice if you're watching the stream.
no, I don't think they will notice, Andy.
No, you don't think they will?
Roll away with it.
No, I think, flawless.
Yeah,
Absolutely
seamless.
flawless.
The animation in particular. Sorry, the move. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Do you like how each individual strand of hair is just rendered so perfectly?
Oh yeah, with the real artist's skill and precision.
Yeah.
So, on a serious note, my internet connection has died with the new year. So, not only could I not broadcast from my machine, I couldn't even get my webcam/phone to transmit my image. So we've got Andrew's lovely artwork to stand in for us for this episode, and presumably for the rest of the episode, till the internet gets sorted out.
looks completely fine. Looks exactly the same. I mean,
it's an improvement, I'd say.
I'm looking at this image and I genuinely can't tell any different. You're staying a little bit still, Nick, but whatever. It's the same.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You can move the picture around occasionally to simulate movement.
Okay. Right. So, what's up, Nick? The garbage fire that was 2020 has finally come to an end.
Yep, and the bigger garbage fire, which appears to be 2021, has dawned.
Yeah, the much larger, much stinkier garbage fire of 2021 has begun.
So to shelter from the ensuing horror of the year, let's look back at previous year's horror. Let's do some retrospective reviews of 2020.
Yeah, and I just want to bring something up quickly.
Okay.
Do you remember when we first started this? Way back in March, or whenever we did actually start this,
wasn't it?
Was it Feb? Yeah. And I made some comments that I have since realised are probably pretty dodge. So I would
wait. I don't remember this. What?
I would like to formally apologise to the people who make James Bond, as when in one of the first episodes I claimed that James Bond hadn't been delayed due to coronavirus. It's been delayed because it was a big old lump of shit.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yes.
That was a while back, wasn't it?
That was a while back.
When we were skeptical of the virus.
Yes, when we were very skeptical, and I thought that it was just an excuse to re-edit the film. How wrong we were, or I was specifically.
To be fair, considering it was the first one by certainly a week or so to delay itself, your theory could still be true.
That is true, yeah, because it was the first by quite a long way, wasn't it?
Yeah. But so I mean, like I think it's perfectly plausible, but that early on into the pandemic, they were just like, we'll just use this as an excuse. It'll blow over, but it will give us some cover.
Yeah,
before it actually really started going down.
Yeah. Anyway, but it's been an interesting year for film, in that very, very little has happened.
It's been a great year for TV.
It has been a good year for TV. It's been a good year for the streaming service, and I mean, good. Sort of.
It's the dawn of the end, but
yeah.
What can you do?
So we're gonna do well. So if you haven't seen, I'm gonna plug it for you here, Nick. You're welcome. Nick's posted his top 5 films of 2020 on his blog, which is Cine Rambles at blogspot.com.
Blogspot. You've mixed the email there.
Oh, sorry. Cine Rambles at gmail.com. Anyway.
Yeah, that sounds right. We say that enough, don't we?
Yeah. That sounds about right. So Nick's posted his top 5, and then on the podcast, I'm going to do my top 5.
And my top 5 while you're at it.
I don't know. I think our top 5s are going to be very, very similar because of just how how trash this is. I've just also realised I've only got 4 on my list, so I'm just going to write Sonic in at number 5.
Very deserving entry.
Yes. Okay, so there's
number 5.
There's been some ups, there's been some downs, a lot of downs. And coming in at number 5 is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, wow, that's a real shock.
Yeah, genuine shock.
That was the first one we reviewed, sort of. If you don't count the Oscar special. Yeah, it was the first proper review we did.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah, I mean, for what it was an absolutely fine film.
Yeah, especially as I assumed it was going to be absolute dog shit, and when it turned out to be pretty fun and pretty okay and quite funny, I thought it was great.
Yeah,
it exceeds expectations.
Yeah, it's probably the best video game film ever made.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't put it at number 5, but by no means a bad film. I'm not gonna counter that.
That's because I couldn't think of anything else. So coming in at number 5.
Well, what's an impression it's made that that's the next film you think of?
I've actually just thought of a film that could actually have gone into number 5 slot.
Go
on. So we'll call Sonic number 6. So number 5, 1917.
Number 5.
I like how you don't turn your nose up at Sonic the fucking Hedgehog, but 1917. Oh fuck no.
No, but Sonic was an underdog, right? But
yeah.
It was not expected to be good, and it had a train wreck of a sort of a release, like a campaign, advertising campaign, and then was actually exceeded expectations. 1917 is still overpraised, I think. It's just I mean, we said this at the time, but it's an exercise in indulgence and sort of practicality before quality.
Yeah, I think I've since rewatched it since the our whole big Oscar review and everything, and I think it's still good. It's still got some very, very good, very tense moments in it. The same criticisms hold up that we brought up, but I don't think it deserves to be bashed on quite as intensely as you seem to want to do so.
I do like it. I think it's in my top 15 or something, but the problem is everyone loved it and couldn't get enough of it, and it was absolutely just 10 out of 10s everywhere, and it's not that good. I've got to redress the balance somewhat.
yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. But in lieu of nothing else really being of that high quality, I would put it there just because okay. Coming in at number 4 is Soul, which we haven't talked about yet. Was released.
We haven't talked about.
Was it released on Christmas Day?
On Christmas Day on Disney Plus.
It was good. I enjoyed it. You seem to have liked it a lot more than I did.
Yeah, well, I was just really sort of taken away by Soul. That's not the right word. I wasn't expecting to be as good as it was, and it wasn't just the raw quality of it, but it was more I just didn't expect it to be in the way it was. So I go into this in a little more detail on the blog, but Inside Out and Coco and other recent Pixar films have been very sort of emotionally heavy-handed, and I thought, oh, here we go, here's Soul. It's going to be really sort of really heavy-handed. It's going to have a really big emotional wallet, but no, it was just it was a very sort of low-key, relaxed kind of film.
Yeah,
it was a very chilled look. It felt like a very intimate story. It was just one guy, and he wanted to get to his concert, and that was it. And in the process of that, the message, the moral of the day is just appreciate the small things in life, stop and smell the
Yes.
roses.
So I really, really, really like the message of Soul, which is just appreciate, being alive, appreciate the little things that make your life amazing and wonderful. And that sequence where he's like, playing the piano and remembering his life, that was
Yeah.
that, I mean, very, very, very close to making me cry, because it was just such a excellently, beautifully executed sequence.
Yeah.
And it had a lot of positives. I just thought it was paced really very strangely. Almost, this complete like breakneck pace that was very, very odd. And also, I don't know, it didn't have as big as an impact on me as I was expecting, maybe? I don't know. I feel like it's diet Inside Out in a way.
So that's an interesting thing, because from the same starting point, I see it as a sort of more mature Inside Out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, what Inside Out has to like really hit you over the head with like, now you must cry. Look
Bing
at the sad of it.
bong.
You must cry.
Yeah.
Oh, you'll make me cry. But I think I felt Soul was a lot more sort of almost more sure of itself, and that because I nearly cried at Soul, but not because there was a big scene which said you may now cry, just because I sort of reached the end of it and I just felt it, I vibed with it. That's my best way of describing Soul. It was just a
Wow.
really good,
Just vibed with it, bro.
yeah, which is very appropriate considering the sort of the general ethos of it.
Yeah. I thought Jamie Foxx was great. I thought he did a good job.
Yeah.
Surprise appearance by Richard Ayoade.
Yes.
Also did a good job.
Also, because we talk about animation a lot, so I want to do for a minute just talk about how great the animation is in Soul.
The animation is incredible. Like, genuinely just astounding. It's so good.
Yeah, like again, they've rendered a sort of a theological kind of concept in a visual way, which has charm and character and sort of
Yes.
and goes outside of the box in terms of trying to replicate that.
Loved the animation on those. What were they called? They all had the same name, and I can't remember what it was. Terry or something.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Jerry.
Yeah. All of the animation on the Jerrys was incredible, because but also rendered a what was it, like a 2D image on a 3D plane.
Yeah, it was the interactivity between dimensions, the way the lines weren't conformed to the normal realm of physics in that world.
And all the Jerrys were they were done really, really well. Like the animation on that was, well, I want to say, like pure animation in a way, wasn't it? Because you can't do that
exactly.
in live action at all. Like, that was done so well.
Yeah. Also, the great beyond, isn't it? The big sort of stairway to heaven, as it were. That there's something so simplistic, but just absolutely like existentially terrifying about that design.
Yeah, I like that. That was good as well.
But even on the smaller scale, like the animation in the human world, we sort of take it for granted now because Pixar has been the sort of the lead of 3D animation for so long.
Yeah.
But just like the minutiae of detail in that world in terms of the movement, like the piano playing in particular, if you watch his fingers, they move across the keys.
Yeah.
You just sort of forget it's animated. It has so much detail in the way it moves.
Yeah, it's
good.
Phenomenal. So Georgia in the chat has just said that they had an entire unit of people just for making jumpers.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just done so well.
Yeah. I feel like I should also address the Penny's comments of, I thought you guys hated Disney.
It's Disney Pixar.
I hate Disney as a business, but there are, as I've always said, there are great people working for Disney. Yeah. Great things have come from Disney Corporation, but they have one of the most horrific business groups. That's the word. Yeah, business practices I've ever seen. So in The Mandalorian, that's great.
Yeah, they're also very predatory, aren't they?
Yeah, there's something, I don't know, exploitation-y about their whole sort of like approach to marketing, I feel. But
yeah. one little nitpicky moment about Soul, and mild spoilers if you haven't seen Soul. But you know the bit where the soul goes into his body and he goes into the cat's body?
Right, yes. I'm glad someone brought this up.
And they have this, he does this thing, they have this very, only the soul in his body can understand him, and everyone else just thinks he's this cat that's making loads and loads of noise, right? And they have this scene where there's this very, very emotional moment where he's being very honest and truthful with his mum, who's very dominating in his life, and she's like, "Oh, you need to stay as a teacher because you shouldn't follow your dreams because it's not very safe economically and all this stuff." And he's like finally saying to her like, "I want to be a musician because I want to do something with my life." Have this very, very heart to heart, very heartfelt moment. But all the whole time, all I could think of was, in order for him, who's still currently in the cat, to get these words to the soul, this conversation would be so stilted as the mum replies to him, he then turns to the cat, who then meows its fucking head off for 5 minutes, he then turns back to the mum, and then says the words.
And she just sort of doesn't even notice.
And she seems completely fine with the fact that this cat is going fucking mental in the corner.
See, that wasn't what I was going to mention. My nitpick with the cat thing is, so his like dead body in the hospital vision is the cat, and then him and 22 go down. 22 goes in the body. He goes in the cat. Now I thought they were going to make the joke of, oh, cats don't have a soul. Oh no, he ejects the cat's soul from the cat's body.
Yeah, the cat just fucking dies.
The cat ends up on the elevator to heaven. Yeah. The cat fucking died. They killed the cat.
Yeah.
And it never came up. I was like, Jesus Christ. And then, when they get out of the body later, the cat's up and walking. It's like, well, hang on, whose soul was in that? The cat's dead. You killed the cat.
You got into the cat. Oh my god.
It still has a body count.
Yeah. Okay. Should we move on from Soul?
Yeah, we have had a comment from Penny about Soul.
Yeah. I really liked Soul, but the reason I didn't love Soul, love Soul, was that you didn't get to see what they did with their new chance at life. So unsatisfying. Yeah, there was a bit of that. It was a little bit unsatisfying.
Yeah, I mean, if I were to argue against that, I'm not necessarily saying I do or don't agree with it. I don't know, but like, it's sort of the open to interpretation of what he could do anything with his life, so I conform to one and sort of leave the door open, I guess. But yeah, I mean that's a fair criticism.
Yeah,
that's sort of like a setup without a payoff.
Yeah, it was a little bit unsatisfying. I didn't. Yeah, it was good. Right, my number 3.
Yeah.
Is Tenet.
Woo!
Which we've talked about already. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Visually incredible. Obviously, it's got its problems. Incredible. Yes, yes.
I'm still listening to the soundtrack. Has no one else been listening to the soundtrack?
No, but I feel like I should.
You really should.
Someone... Georgia told me about this recently, and I cannot remember. Yeah. I think the same bloke did the new series of The Mandalorian as well.
Oh, yeah. It's Ludwig Göransson.
Yes.
So he did The Mandalorian, he's done this. He's done... I think he did Creed as well.
Yes, he did. Yep.
But yeah, this was... Because Hans Zimmer couldn't do Tenet, so he said, but try Ludwig Göransson. I think he's really good. So when Hans Zimmer is endorsing you, you're a good composer. And
the Mandalorian is composed very, very well, so...
Yeah, no, Göransson is like my new favourite composer at the moment. If he has to get an Oscar nomination for Best Original Score for Tenet.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, I can't be held responsible for my actions.
Yeah, very, very bombastic. Good. Obviously, it's had its problems, but we talked about that.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything new to add.
No, and I'm going to do a massive post on Tenet at some point in the next couple of months.
I do want to watch it again, because obviously...
Yeah, you've only seen it once, haven't you?
Yeah, because when I saw it the first time and we came out of the cinema, I was like, that was really, really, really good. And obviously now I've been bombarded with all this other information and all this other, like... other people's opinions and stuff, and which which is fine because I like to keep an open mind, and I like to hear other people's opinions, to see what I think of that. And I feel like if I watched it again, I can reevaluate my opinion on how I feel, like if it can recapture that awe-inspiring sort of feeling that it did the first time I watched it. And if I can wrap my head around it at all, because it was fucking confusing.
Yeah. So this is my big problem with Tenet, is like whenever I'm not watching it, I can't stop thinking about it. And then I went and rewatched it at like the IMAX, and then I was sort of a bit meh on the whole experience.
Right.
Which is weird considering that was like an upgrade from just a regular cinema. I thought it was going to be amazing. I was like, I don't know. But then again, ever since I've just been like, fucking Tenet, it's great.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm genuinely not sure if I just loved the soundtrack. I wonder what would happen if you took out the soundtrack. I'm like, it's shit. But I mean, the action scenes are still great.
Yeah.
If nothing else. Fucking car chase.
There's so much of it that's really, really good. Like,
yeah.
I don't think you can call that. I'd never call that film bad, even if I hated the plot or whatever. It's not bad because of just how amazing the visuals are and how amazing the choreo. Like, all of the technical bits of that film, other than the sound mixing, is incredible.
I think that's the key thing. Like, there's so much that's really bad and so much that's really good, but the stuff that is good is so good you just can't ignore that. Like, the bad stuff isn't bad enough to counteract it, if that makes sense.
If you just took the plot out entirely, the film would be just like, fuck me, this is incredible, because it's just this series of incredible adrenaline pumping action scenes that are just like, fucking hell, this is awesome.
I genuinely think if Nolan had taken the script he wrote and gave it to like a professional, like a proper script writer, and said, can you rewrite this so it's comprehensible?
Give it to his brother.
Yeah, and then if the film was then made as it was with a newer script, I think it would genuinely be one of the best action films of recent years.
Yeah, his brother is very, very good at screenwriting, by the way.
Yeah. What else has he done then?
Well, he's done Westworld. And Westworld is fucking great. So he's helped write a bunch of Chris Nolan's films.
Yeah, I know certainly his earlier films, they worked together as, like, as brothers.
Yeah.
I think recent years he's sort of been dropped in favor of Chris.
Yeah. He's definitely he's working on a new series as well, like another sci-fi thing akin to Westworld kind of. He's like adapting another classic sci-fi thing with the same the same partner he worked on with Westworld, and I cannot remember her name, but she's also fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to, because he's a very, very good writer. And I
related to because they were supposed to be making an HBO series of I think it's of Sphere, the Michael Crichton novel.
Oh yeah,
certainly there's a Michael Crichton novel they're making a series on.
Yes, I think it was that. It may have been that.
Because I'm excited for that. If it is Sphere is a fantastic book. I would love to see that as a film. I think you like it well. It's underwater, so you might shit yourself.
Okay, moving on. My number 2. This might surprise you, Nick. Oh,
okay.
We're getting into BuzzFeed territory here.
BuzzFeed territory. Oh yeah.
The Gentleman.
Number 2.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I really like that film.
But number 2. Okay.
Thing is that I've got a soft spot for Guy Ritchie. Just because, famous author Guy Ritchie. Yeah, he is.
That's a joke.
That's a joke. No one but George will understand, which is fine. I really, really liked it, but also what I absolutely loved about that film, and what makes that film take its number 2 slot for me, is Hugh Grant. Because Hugh Grant in that film was so good. He was such a slimy bastard, and he was just so amazingly awful. I thought he just made that film like just top tier. It was great.
I mean, you can tell he was absolutely like loving every single minute he was on screen in
Yeah,
that role.
yeah,
He
yeah.
went all out.
It
Yeah.
was. I just thought it was a real joy to watch, and you can tell like a lot of the people involved really enjoyed making it as well. Um, and I thought the action scenes were good. I liked the story. I liked Matthew McConaughey in it. He was great. Like I just looking back on it, I thought that film was really good, and I really enjoy it. And I thought, obviously, I've got this soft spot for Guy Ritchie, and I just thought it was great.
The question is, where would you rank The Gentleman versus like Snatch and Lock, Stock? And well,
I think Lock, Stock's number one, obviously,
yeah,
because it's fucking great.
fucking great.
Then I would put Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yeah, okay. I forget he made that. Yeah,
Yeah, because that's also great.
Yeah.
And then also they might be making a third one. I think they were planning to, but then COVID happened, so I don't know what's going on there.
I think I saw something about that. Yeah.
Which would be good because also Robert Downey Jr. makes a great Sherlock Holmes. So, anyway, number 3 would be The Gentleman, I think.
Okay.
And then the number 4, Snatch. Snatch, I don't know. Snatch feels like Lock, Stock, but slightly less good.
Yeah. So I when I first watched Snatch, I really loved it, and then I rewatched it recently, and I was surprised by how much I didn't like. I mean, I still liked it, but it was, I don't know. I almost feel like I grew out of it.
Yeah.
And I felt something weirdly immature about it.
It's
but I mean, I still love Lock, Stock. I still love Gentleman. Well, I like Gentleman. It's a good film.
See, Snatch feels like, it's like this very polished, but almost too polished. Like this very clean, like studio version of Lock, Stock, and like Lock, Stock feels like a bunch of mates who've made this film, and it's very sort of, it almost feels a bit studenty in the way that it's shot and made and edited, and it's so low budget. They can't have the gunfights in it because they haven't got the props to do it or whatever. And it's got this real charm to it, and I love the writing and I love the acting, and then Lock, Stock's really good, and I feel like with the fame and the extra budget they had in Snatch, they went just too polish.
It's too Hollywood.
It's just slightly too Hollywood. Yeah. It's just not got quite the same charm and charisma as the first one, which is weird because everyone other seems to think it's the other way around.
Yeah. I also like with Lock, Stock as well. I mean, Snatch has its own share of sort of like confusing, sort of intricate plot lines. But Lock, Stock is so like deliberately messy. Like so much shit happens in Lock, Stock. There's so many plot lines. There's so much. It's such sort of nonsensical. And there's sort of an element of just like completely like off the wall, insanity, which I think really adds to the comedy of it. Well, I think Snatch is almost too comprehensive at points.
Yeah,
I think that one of the sort of the driving points of the comedy of Lock, Stock is here's not only like one bunch of incompetent criminals, but apparently every criminal in London or wherever it is like completely just doesn't know how to tie their shoelaces.
Yeah. It's just great.
Yeah.
And I feel like The Gentleman sort of recaptured that same sort of, you've got this gang of roadmen who can know how to beat the shit out of everyone, and they go and try and rob these people, and it's like there's so much of it is just it's got that recaptured that same charm that made Lock, Stock so good. I feel like The Gentleman has got the same heart, and then also in addition has then the budget with to the cool gunfights and to have the A-list Hollywood stars. I just thought it was good. Okay. Moving on to my number 1.
Which is going to be, I'm going to guess, Parasite.
Yes, it's the same as your number 1.
Well, I mean, it's a great film. It's one of those once in a blue moon films where everything's just perfect.
Truly excellent cinema. And we've banged on about Parasite before.
Yeah.
But that was a year ago, so we're going to do it again.
I mean, it was a really sort of watershed moment in the sort of cinema landscape, I guess. I mean, not only
Yes.
because of its sort of its Oscar win, but just in general. Like, I'm not sure I've seen a foreign film do that well for years, really. Like in the mainstream, like
Yeah.
everyone's seeing Parasite, even people who don't like foreign films or claim they don't like foreign films but haven't actually tried.
Yeah. It's such a weird thing. I don't like foreign films. It's like
Yeah.
then if you don't like foreign films, you shouldn't like anything that comes out of Hollywood. You
Yeah,
know?
true. Technically true. Yeah.
It's just ugh.
It's interesting the people who don't like subtitles, who are like, oh, I can't concentrate, like I can't read. I think those people haven't actually watched the subtitled film, because especially on a good one, you don't notice subtitles. You sort of just you sort of see the text. You
Yeah.
sort of your language gets sort of absorbed automatically. You just sort of ascribe it to what you hear. Like City of God, the first couple of times I watched it, I didn't realize quite that it was subtitled. I sort of just got into it,
Yeah.
and whenever I think of that film, I hear the voices. I don't see the subtitle.
I
I think
think
Parasite's similar.
it depends on what language is being translated as well, because a lot of the European languages have the same sort of tempo as English, so it's a lot easier
Yeah.
to keep up with. So like City of God is in Portuguese, is it? Because it's Brazilian, isn't it? So
Yes.
and a lot of French films are quite easy to understand the subtitles, whereas a lot of Japanese and Chinese films, because they're and well, I don't know. I didn't really have this problem with Parasite, which is Korean, but the way that their sentence structure is completely different because it's a completely different alphabet, isn't it? So it's like something that would be a sentence full of 10 words could be said in a couple of syllables for them.
Yeah.
And I feel like the pacing of translation this is a bit weird, is quite hard to get right in some, I don't know, Asian films. Like, when we saw Akira,
Yeah.
the translator, because obviously we're watching it subtitled because I'm not weeby enough to learn Japanese.
I thought you were going to say I'm not going near the dub, but no, you went. It's either subtitles or Japanese.
or just learn Japanese. That's the only option.
No dubs. Leave that, the Akira dubs are terrible.
Well, yeah.
Have you heard the old dub? The old dub is.
I have not heard the old dub.
Oh man, you thought the new dub was bad.
Yeah. But, sometimes they speak so fast and in such complex things to understand that you're like, sorry, what? But I feel like I don't know if it's because I can't remember his name. Who directed Parasite?
Bong Joon-ho.
Yeah, Bong Joon-ho, because he's made a lot of like English language films before, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, he's made certainly Snowpiercer, not Akira, in English language.
Yeah, I feel
probably
like
made some...
I don't know, his writing and pacing is just very easy to understand. Is even when it's translated, it's just like very, yep.
I mean, there's another thing about like the story, the concept of Parasite is so sort of translatable.
It's very universal, isn't it?
Yeah, the sort of the class divide is something that sort of exists in every sort of major developed country, really, and probably even every country.
I mean, it exists everywhere, doesn't it? That class divide is prevalent through every society.
And like the sort of scenario of like the servants for this rich family sort of essentially living off of their gains is apparently that happens a lot in the real world, like au pairs and stuff, just sort of trashing rich people's houses they work for because they're out on a business trip or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that there's a degree of that, like, as opposed to maybe some other foreign films, just like a very like imbued with the culture of the film they're made in, maybe don't appeal as well across the seas. Or Parasite had that gift of being so accessible.
Yeah. It's so such a universal struggle that anyone can really get into it and understand it, can't they? Or relate to it as well. Whereas a lot of I mean, I don't know. I don't want to go down that road because we'll be talking about it for fucking hours. So let's move on.
Okay. It's not like that's what we're here for or anything.
No. But we have other stuff to talk about. We've only got like
You don't want to accidentally mention a film that I'm passionate about and basically be like, right, let's talk about this.
yeah. But whereas you mentioned City of God, which is an excellent film, and there's no doubt about it. But if you were Brazilian, or if you could understand the Portuguese language, you might be able to get into it a bit more and empathize with those characters and get into their mindset more so than you could with that language barrier.
Yeah.
Because that's a very, very inherently Brazilian problem with the fucking gangs and the favelas and all this murder and horrible stuff going on. Is obviously that happens all over the world, but Brazil is very, very, very famous for that.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like I feel bad saying it's a defining element of the country. Like it is like such a deeply entrenched problem, the favelas, the gang violence, police conflict. Like it has been going on for decades.
Yeah, and I feel like that would hit more, that would be much more hard hitting if you were from Brazil, if you could see those problems firsthand. Whereas in terms of Parasite, everyone's had that, those people are fuck you rich, and it doesn't matter what country they're from or where you're from or what language you speak, there's always going to be someone who you want to be because they're just so much richer or better off than you are.
Yeah, I mean everyone's had that sort of fancy of walking past a really expensive house in your town and sort of like looking through the window and just wishing you had that house.
Yeah.
And that's like the exact kind of that wish of being rich is exactly what Parasite's built upon. That's like such a universal desire. Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, well that's your top 5.
That's my top 5. Nick's top 5 is quite similar.
Yeah. So my number 5 is Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which you've not seen.
I've not seen, no.
But it's pretty good. Then Tenet, of course.
Tenet, yeah.
Probably higher up than it deserves, but I'm letting it slide. Then Soul, and then The Lighthouse, which you haven't seen.
I haven't seen, but I do very much want to.
Isn't it on Prime or something?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'll check it out.
Well, you should see it as soon as you can, because I think you'd love it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then number 1, Parasite.
Fair enough.
Down.
I just before we move on, have a very quick field of what's it called? Streams. Field of streams.
Field of streams. Oh no! Didn't we come up with a different name for it? There was streamed hams.
Fucking hell. Streamed hams. Okay, sure. Anyway, I don't know if you know or would care about this, but there's lots of really good stand-up on Netflix at the moment. And a particular favourite of mine is James Acaster's Repertoire.
Ah, that is good.
Which is it 4 episodes of I think it's 4 episodes of like
4 1-hour episodes.
Yeah, 4 of hour-long stand-up. And it's so fucking good. And if you don't know James Acaster, he's this comedian who's a bit absurdist, and he can make things that everyone assumes is just this normal, very ordinary thing. He can make it very, very, very amusing. He unpicks it in this way that makes it really, really funny.
He has a very lateral way of thinking, I think.
Yeah.
His approach to comedy.
He absolutely destroys me. Yeah, he is so funny and he's so intelligent and smart. I don't know. He destroys me, and Repertoire is particularly excellent. He's also got a new one coming out. I don't know if it's already come out or it's coming out soon. Which I'm looking forward to as well. But yeah, he's great, and I just wanted to, because we rewatched that the other day, and it's very funny and it's great. Anyway,
while we're talking about
go on.
2020 just quickly.
Yeah.
Do you have any worst films of the year? Anything you watched which you're just like, nah. What's this?
I don't know. The Old Guard. That was pretty wank.
Yeah, that was pretty rubbish.
Pretty wanky. I think if there's anything else that I thought. I'll tell you what, actually, Nick.
Yeah.
The other day I didn't tell you about this. I meant to, but I didn't. I started watching a film because I knew and this was maybe in, I think it was early December when we were about to kick off Cine Rambles again with the live streams.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna watch this film, and then I'm gonna talk to Nick about it, right? And it was this action film
I'm getting nervous.
called. Fuck, what was it called? It was called Hard Kill.
Okay. I've not heard of it, I don't think.
It has Bruce Willis in it. It's a Netflix original, and it is, despite being a action film, I don't know if it's the most, but it is one of the most fucking boring films I've ever watched in my life. To the point where I got about 45 minutes in, fuck all had happened, I didn't understand what was going on with the plot, and it was just so boring that I gave up watching it and just never told you about it. Because I was like, oh Nick, I was in my head, I was like, why don't we both watch this film, and if it's really bad, we can, rant about it or whatever.
Yeah.
Or it might be like a hidden gem, but it wasn't. It was so fucking boring that it's just awful. And do you know how boring it is? Do you remember how shit The Old Guard was and how boring that film was?
Yes. I mean, oh god, I'm not sure if I'd say oh god was boring. It was untense, but
Wow, okay, yeah. But you know how in the beginning of The Old Guard they like have this scene where they're all dead on the floor and they're like, "Oh, I really hate dying."
yeah.
And then they cut to like, oh, a couple of days beforehand, and then we then see how they're all on the floor like, "Oh, I hate dying," and then we see them stand up and shoot everyone.
Yeah.
Well, in Hard Kill they had the same thing where the opening is them in medias res, where it's in the middle of this action scene, but it's all slow mode and in grey, it's all greyed out, and it's like they're all screaming for help, and then it has a close up on this guy, and he's got this gun, and it's like, oh my god, oh I wonder what's happening, and then it cuts to like one day before, and then it introduces the film. However, what could have been the one and only sort of vague, tense sort of twist in this moment in what this bit is building up to was ruined by this, because what this is supposed to be, right? I can't even be bothered to explain the fucking plot of this film because it's so dull. I just can't be bothered.
That's convenient.
But basically, Bruce Willis he needs protecting, so he hires this team of like ex-military people, then they're like all mercenaries to protect him, and then the bad guys come and try to kill Bruce Willis. Okay?
Right.
But the point is you think it's supposed to be like this easy protection job, but actually they're sending this whole army after Bruce Willis. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. And then let's hear the intro. Okay, no, right. Oh, fucking hell. I just don't know if it's worth the effort.
Well, is it going to take the whole evening if you try to explain this plot?
But, they get to this... They get to this warehouse. The same warehouse as in the intro. And they're like, oh no, this was the setup. We're going to be attacked. And it's supposed to be this twist, right? But they fucking showed us that in the introduction. It's the same fucking warehouse of them getting shot at and, having this big emotional dramatic scene. And it's like, oh, maybe this would have been a slight moment of tension if we hadn't already known you were going to be under attack and this supposed surprise attack. Or if it was a surprise, maybe it would have been tension. But as soon as they start getting shot at, it's just like, oh yeah, this is just happening now because we already know this is happening because we've been told. It's just don't bother, Nick. Don't even look it up. It's a fucking terrible.
I mean,
terrible
I've already
film.
looked it up. It's a 4.1 on IMDb.
It deserves that.
Screenplay by Joe Russo.
Well,
is that the same?
I hope not, because it's
not. It's not the Joe Russo.
It's not the Joe Russo. Okay, well that's all right then.
Yeah,
because that film was fucking appalling. I
Right,
think
and
it
that's your
is
worst
the
film.
Joe Russo.
Is it?
If you click on it on Google, it goes on to the Joe Russo.
Not on IMDb, it doesn't. It goes
Oh,
on to a
okay.
different. Not very much.
Oh, okay, right, yeah, fair enough. Anyway, that film was absolute hot garbage. So yeah,
Did you watch I'm Thinking of Ending Things?
is that Charlie Kaufman?
Yes.
No, but I've heard a lot about it.
Have you heard good or bad?
I've heard mixed things about it.
I did not like I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
No.
I thought of ending the movie on multiple occasions, but
Fucking hell.
that's
Okay.
one of my candidates for worst of the year. It's just, I mean, see, I like some of Charlie Kaufman stuff. Like, I really like Being John Malkovich, and Anomalisa was really good.
Anomalisa
and
is
Eternal
good.
Consequences. But like, oh, it at least those films had a plot, like a conceivable, followable plot that made sense and was clever and satisfying and whatever. I'm Thinking
Does
of Ending
he...
Things. It's one of those annoying sort of it's a masturbation project, you know.
Right.
It's like, oh look at me, I'm being non-linear. Oh what's this? This isn't conventional storytelling. Oh, you didn't expect that, did you? Oh no, this story doesn't make sense. Like, oh, shut up. I want to be told a story, Charlie, not just fucking shown your whatever ramblings and ravings it is.
Does
But
he?
it is one of those films.
Go on. Go
What?
on. There you go.
No.
Okay.
No, I'll be honest.
No. Okay. He did Synecdoche, New York, didn't he?
Yes. Have you seen that?
I have seen that.
What do you think of Synecdoche, New York?
Oh, it's a bit wanky as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I know some people absolutely like worship the ground that film walks on. I couldn't get into it at all. It was boring. What little I did sort of pay attention to was just.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah, this is very much in the same vein as that. But
Okay.
at least Synecdoche, New York had a plot. This
Yeah.
film starts with a plot, and it's like, okay, sure. It's like, oh, this girl is she wants to break up with her boyfriend, but she's sort of in too deep and kind of doesn't really want to commit to telling him.
Right.
And they're on their way to see his parents and have dinner with them. It's like, okay, cool, that's fair enough. This could be interesting. And then that plot either isn't real or or it doesn't happen, or something else happens. At some point, it just becomes a different story. That doesn't matter anymore. And we're driving home, and there's some time travel thing. But then there's not a time travel thing. That's a dream or an artistic statement or something. And then they go to a school, and then it's an alternate reality or a different timeline or it's a dream. I don't know. Then there's a man with a pig and a man's naked, and then Jesse Plemons is on stage, and then it ends.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what, Andy, you can watch the film because you might think I'm not doing it justice. That was a pretty accurate description of the plot. I challenge you to be better from watching it.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, I'm glad I dodged that one.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be contentious here, but anyone who says they like I'm Thinking of Ending Things is lying to themselves.
What?
They're pretending to like it.
Yeah.
It's a pile of wank.
Okay, fair enough. Jesus
It's not like
Christ.
talking about that.
Yep, fair enough.
Also, Horse Girl was fucking weird. But I tried talking about that before and didn't get very far. So.
Yes, I remember. Oh my god. Okay.
Shit, we're nearly out of time, aren't we?
We are nearly out of time. We had some things we were
either.
planning to talk about.
Yeah.
Just because we can very quickly get to it before we can get to delve in deep into Evangelion. We're going to talk very briefly about Dredd.
Oh, fuck me.
Why are you saying that? I thought Dredd.
What? Is this the bullet rant?
No, it is not the bullet rant. I'm going to leave the bullet rant alone.
Good. I'm sick of the bullet rant, Andrew.
Because everyone is sick of the bullet rant, so I'll leave the bullet rant alone.
Twice in 24 hours.
Look, I had it. Yes, you did. And I'm sorry, but it was important.
The thing is, there's now going to be a slew of messages in the chat being like, "What's the bullet rant?" And then I have to hear it a third time.
Well, maybe you will. Right, Dredd, 2012. Yes, it says on the screen.
I see you downloaded the font pack I told you to.
Yes, I did not. I thought it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's basically just sci-fi The Raid, but with no martial arts and only shooting people in the face.
Sound like it's a bad thing.
No, it was good. I very much enjoyed it. Carl Urban was particularly excellent as Dredd. Yeah, I thought it was great. There's not a massive amount to it, really, is there?
No. I mean, the first time I watched it, I sort of gushed from every orifice about it. I have calmed down since then, but it is still a very, very fun action film.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. It is like a proper popcorn film. You know, it's not deep, it's not artsy or whatever. It's just it takes the action, it just turns up to a level, and it's just very satisfying, very fun action.
Yeah, I wish I'd seen it in the cinema because I feel like it would have been great with all the whole sound system and the proper like big screen. It would have been a really good big screen experience.
Also in 3D.
Yes.
So I watched on the 3D Blu-ray because we have got a 3D TV downstairs.
Wow.
And like normally 3D is not like a big deal, but like Dredd has some really nice 3D moments. Like all the stuff with the slow-mo, right?
Yeah.
That bit in 3D looks really good. Like when they throw I think multiple people. They throw multiple people off the tower but give them slow-mo on the way down. And it's like as they fall slowly, there's like the shards of glass and stuff coming past the screen in 3D. That was fun. It's the kind of film. It's so bombastic, so action packed. Actually, the 3D works quite nicely with it.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. There's obviously it's not perfect. There's a couple of nitpicky bits and some bits I thought could have been better. Ignoring the bullet completely, Nick.
Yeah,
you know, like Lena Headey is the main villain in it.
Yeah,
and I mean she's pretty good. I just thought, they build her up so like she's got this reputation for being really, really violent and really horrible, and she's like, oh, she bit this man's knob off and she killed him, and she's really, really violent, and the only way she managed to get hold of the push all the other gangs out of this mega tower was by killing them all, and she's really violent. She likes skinning them, and then when we actually meet her and we see her make like important decisions about characters, she's just sort of a bit, I don't know, a bit nothingy.
Oh,
poor Lena. It's fine, and she was still good, and there was a lot of good action, but there wasn't much of. She wasn't much of like a final boss kind of figure, if you know what I mean.
I guess not. So I really because obviously most people know Lena Headey. I don't know how you actually pronounce the surname.
No idea.
But, we'll know her from Game of Thrones, where she's Cersei Lannister.
Yeah.
Like, seeing that she's got she has like the long hair and she's very like royally dressed and sort of. I mean, despite being an absolute bitch, like she's very sort of regal. So I actually do really love seeing her in stuff like Dredd and Old Guard, where it's like she's got the short hair, she's got a tank top, and she's just like
she wasn't in Old Guard, was she?
Is she not the main character in Old Guard?
No.
Who am I thinking of?
That's Charlize Theron.
Oh shit! It is, isn't it?
Fucking hell, Nick. Oh, good job.
When they have the same haircut, they look similar. Anyway,
fucking hell. You heard it here first, folks.
In Dredd, but I like it. My point still stands. I like that in Dredd she's a bit more rough around the edges. She's still a villain, but it's like a different side of her we haven't seen as much.
Yeah,
which I quite like. She's very fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean she is good, but I think I don't know. I was expecting her to be. Because we've seen her in Game of Thrones, and she is so despicable in Game of Thrones. She's so evil and manipulative and horrible. And and I was hoping for that same kind of, you know, villain you love to hate kind of vibe from her. But she just sort of, she wasn't really that at all. She was just like, oh, you know, this gang leader that wants, you know, I feel like she wasn't really the same. She wasn't evil enough, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, you know what? She's got she subcontracts out the evil to her minions.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, and it's got a touch of the Superman's about it. In that, yeah, in that he is so undefeatable, and you know, anything you put in his way, he just absolutely carves through it. There's just sort of no doubt at any point that he's going to lose.
And you're getting dangerously close to the bullet around here.
True. I was actually about to mention the bullet, but I won't. I shan't.
Okay.
I thought also, you know, that he's supposed to. He is this unstoppable, you know, judge. And spoilers, when he comes up against 4 other judges, I was going to be like, oh shit, this is going to be awesome. You know, we're going to have this big throwdown where he goes up against these other, also, you know, equally unstoppable people, and it's like unstoppable force meets immovable object, you know, what's going to happen? And then he just also carves through them like they're a bunch of bitches. You know?
Yeah.
And I just think,
but, you know, he looks cool doing it.
He does, and it's like I'm slagging it off a lot, but I also really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
You know, whereas we could compare this to Die Hard.
Ooh. Okay.
Whereas, you know, in Die Hard, he's got these moments of he's very humanized, and you see that he's not immortal. You know, when he walks on the glass, he takes injuries and bashes, and he, you know, for some of the film, he's just sat there, you know, speaking to the police like, please help me.
Which is the great virtue of Die Hard, is it's a normal guy. And,
yeah,
like,
which is what makes Die Hard so absolutely excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, Dredd does get injured.
Well, does he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Besides the bullet rounds, I'm sure there are other points where he gets injured. I'm sure there's like he's definitely like incapacitated at some point, isn't he?
I mean, there's this bit where one of the judges is choking him out. But you know, very briefly. I'd like to point out the other problem with all of the judges looking identical is that when 2 of the judges fight in a melee, and they look fucking identical, it was genuinely impossible to tell who was the good guy and who was the bad guy.
You mean you can't recognise Karl Urban's chin alone?
Not when his chin is being covered by someone's hands trying to choke him to death. I was like, no. Who is choking whom at this point?
Karl Urban's chin, it moves past the realms of hands. That chin anyway. Hands be damned.
But it was great. I liked the sidekick lady. I can't remember her name, but she was good.
Oh, yeah.
As much as I complain about it, I am left wanting more. I really want more. I want there to be a sequel. I want it to be a TV show or something. I want more.
Dredd 2 would be great. Like, if they just took it as like, right, okay, same kind of vibe, but we're just going to go even more all out, just pump it up even further.
But
I think that could be great.
I want more stuff with the mutants.
Yeah.
Because isn't one of the Dredd stories like there's a mutant uprising? I want to see that.
That's the thing, because like, I mean, this came out the same year as like Avengers, and so all this other like comic book craze going on, and this gem comes out and just doesn't get any kind of like, where's the Dredd cinematic universe?
Yeah.
Because my limited knowledge of it's like the AD 2000 or 2000 AD comics, isn't it? He's from.
Yes. Yeah.
But they sound really interesting.
Yeah,
I'd
they
love
sound
to see
great.
Some kind of, like, series or universe on that.
Yeah, the Dredd universe. It sounds really fucking cool, and it's just hilarious and amazing. And I want more.
Obviously not through Disney, because they'll fuck it up and make it like kid friendly or something. No, let's like a hard 18, like maybe like a trilogy of like Dredd film.
Yeah.
in this day. That would be really, really good. I'd love that.
Yeah. I also think you need a more powerful villain. Or
Yeah.
someone who can... No, it doesn't even have to stand up to him physically, which I think is what they were sort of going for with Lena.
Hmm.
But you know, some way of stopping him in a way that, you know, he is so
A lawyer.
Yeah.
I'd be like, well, hang on. Under Article 5, Section 17 of the law, you can't kill me. Ah, shit.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, right. He's
Although-
got me.
But he is judge, jury, and executioner, so it doesn't matter. It's up to him, isn't it? He
The judge can't overrule the law.
No,
He is the law.
Yeah, exactly. He is the law. It's his final say. I am the law. Right. Are we done? I think that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's probably we'll end it off there. So yeah, you've been listening to the Ciné Rambles podcast with me, Nick,
and me, Andrew.
If you want to follow more updates on the things we do, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/CineRamblesOfficial.
And follow us on Twitter, and the handle is at Ciné Rambles.
There we go. I don't know why that's hard for you to remember.
I don't know. I don't use Twitter. I don't understand how it works.
To be fair, I don't really use Twitter outside of Ciné Rambles posts. And of course, you can email us at cinerambles@gmail.com.
Oh shit. What's my next bit, Nick?
Talk about the blog.
Oh yeah, and Nick writes some stuff on his blog, which is Ciné Rambles blogspot.com.
Yeah. Including my full details of my top 2020. If anyone wants to read that.
Yep.
And of course, yes, you can catch us on Twitch every other Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Yes, today is definitely a Wednesday.
Yeah, on this very Wednesday today.
Yes.
But yes, we will normally be on Wednesdays 8 p.m. Fortnightly, and this will be live on YouTube and Spotify on Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah,
Possibly.
probably.
Possibly.
Yeah. Any any final remarks?
No.
No.
Sorry. I am the law. Give me more Dredd. That's what I want.
Yeah. If Pete Travis or Alex Garland or anyone else is watching this, give us more Dredd. And if Alex Garland is watching this, I will marry you. Just give me the word.
Yeah, look, Alex Garland, who's definitely watching this, look at Nick's beautiful face. That's what he looks like in real life.
Yeah, you could have that every night, and you just need to just keep making films for me.
It's okay, because... And then when he meets you in real life and realizes you too don't have eyelids, he'll be very pleased.
We were made for each other.
Yeah.
We'll be able to maintain unblinking eye contact with each other forever and ever.
Nick does always win a staring contest.
Oh yeah. I mean, just try it now at home. Try staring into the soul of my avatar.
Okay, bye. Fucking hell.
Bye.